Hi everyone, it's Nick. Welcome back to my channel. Okay, in this video we are doing more de-influencing unnecessary furniture and home decor products. I did a version 1 of this one, guys, that you really loved, and I will link that to the end of this video. You can check those links out there. So if you don't see some of your favorites, you might be on that list. These are items that, you know, this de-influencing trend is very fascinating to me because obviously we have reached peak influencer and people are, and I say that as I am, I guess, sort of one. I don't really know what the heck I am. But anyway, people are influencing. And then there's people saying, well, hang on a minute, here's the stuff you don't need, which, you know, gives a lot more credibility to the profession because there is stuff you don't really need, let's be honest. And that's what we're gonna talk about in this video. So let's get going. But before we hop into today's video, I want to take a minute and thank today's sponsor, which is Aquasana. Aquasana uses award-winning filtration technology that's designed by expert engineers. The brand's products are created with the environment in mind. So all filter components are engineered for minimal waste, including reusable outer filter casings and filter cartridges made of recyclable parts, and of course also compostable materials. So traditional pitchers use gravity to trickle water over filters slowly, but Aquasana's clean water machine uses power for super fast and effective water filtration delivery, and it gives you an 8-ounce glass of water in only 8 seconds. This is great for me because I'll get impatient with a traditional water pitcher and end up just opting for tap water instead. So Aquasana's clean water machine allows me to get filtered waters at the pace that I really like. Aquasana is great if you're someone who really likes bottled water, but you're trying to get away from it because you feel bad about the environmental impact, which, you know, you should. Getting a filtration system at home can not only help you save money, but also help you consume it in a more sustainable way that's not impacting the environment as harshly. So if you're ready to start drinking cleaner, healthier water, head to aquasana.com/nicklewisaq and use code NICK55 to get 55% off all filters plus free shipping. Okay, first up on my list is going to be shower and bathroom stools. So this is the sister product to the towel ladder that I talked about in the previous video. Do you need this? Like, no. Like, maybe if you're a person that wants to sit down, or maybe you're like kids in the bathtub or kids in the shower. Honestly though, let's be real, these are not meant to actually be useful in the shower or bathroom area. These are just there for like a artfully, you know, just beautifully patinaed sort of stool that is maybe like an antique milking stool or something. Like, that's what these are for. They're purely aesthetic. Do you need one? No, you don't need one. I shouldn't have to say that based on the description of milking stool and it being in your own bathroom when you live in the suburbs. But no, you do not actually need a milking stool in your bathroom or the shower. I mean, there's some water issues also there when these things are in the shower. I don't fully get. Some of them are teak, which is like, I think probably gonna be stand up a lot better than some of these antique-y looking ones. But yeah, I mean, look, the stool trend of having these little tiny, cute little patinaed stools are fun and all, but do you need one? No, of course you don't. I'm not here to tell you that you need one. I'm saying that it's a fun little trend, and if you love it, go for it, put it in your home, that's fine. Just like kind of the old towel ladder, but I would say for me personally, this is something that unless you're absolutely madly in love with it, or you're really just looking for a little place to inefficiently stack towels, kind of like the towel ladder, this isn't really a necessary one, I'm gonna be honest with you. Okay, next up is gonna be an assortment of pillows. Okay, this is true for both the living room and also for the bedroom. We've talked about the bedroom. You don't need 45 pillows in there, right? I think this was a trend that hopefully is now dead. I feel like we are definitely seeing the trend in bedrooms to be a little bit lighter on a lot of the pillows, right? Much simpler, more basic pillows, rather than having the stacks of, you got the lumbar pillow, and then you got the Euro shams, and then you've got the kings and the queens and the whole thing up there, and then you got all the little cool little extra little bonus pillows with all sorts of patterns and fun colors on there. You don't need that many pillows. You know, you really don't. Have the appropriate amount of pillows that one needs to functionally use the couch or bed, in my personal opinion. So having, you know, 1 or 2, like I've kind of got there, is fine. You know, people use them, they lean against them, they actually make sense. But when they start overcrowding, making up 50% of the couch, you've got problems. When you're in the bed and you've got to strip off 20 pillows in order to get in, and then you got to put 20 pillows back on in the morning, that's obviously stupid and silly, and you don't need this many pillows. So I would say, if I can de-influence you on something, I would say stop with too many pillows. Grab maybe, you know, in the bed, you might have the ones that you need, like maybe 2 kings or something, and then maybe you just have a nice little lumbar pillow in the middle. That's it. Now it's symmetrical. You just got the one in the center, that's all you really need. Have 1 or 2 on the couch, you're good. Maybe a lumbar one and kind of a side chair, something like that. Not every chair, not every couch necessarily even needs a pillow, dare I say. So I would say the cacophony of pillows is overkill and we don't need them. So I would say pull back a little bit on some of those pillows. De-influence a little bit some of those pillows. You don't need that many. Okay, next de-influencing thing I have to talk about is going to be the giant lamps in kitchens. Now listen, if I can see you, you're like, but Nick, I saw your kitchen design trends video that you did not very long ago and you said you really like this trend. I do, if you have the space for it. If you have the space for it and you want to put one of these gigantic lamps in, it can be fun. It's a nice little light that you can put on the side there. It's an accent light. It's something that if you have a large kitchen with lots of countertop and you don't mind clearly devoting to a piece of your countertop to something as inefficient as a lamp, it's a fine addition. It's a good choice. It's just not going to be as functional as, a cutting board. So if you don't have a place to cut your, fruits and vegetables on because you put a stupid lamp on there, then you've got an issue. You know what I mean? If you have the room to cut and have a lamp, go nuts. So I think that if this starts to become a problem, if this starts to really take up a lot of the room in the countertop, skip this one. Yes, this is a fun trend. Yes, people are definitely putting more art and more lamps and a little bit more personality into their homes rather than just sort of all the fixed elements, which are super, super heavy in the kitchen. Then if you have the room for it, go for it. But I would skip this one if this one isn't for you, or if you just, let's be honest, just don't have the kitchen space to do some of these like little fun little countertop trends. Okay, next up, we gotta talk about the curved sofa. Okay, curved sofas. I like curved sofas. I think they're beautiful. I love curves. I think they're great. I think they're beautiful sofas. I'm not saying they're not. Do you need one? Well, here's the thing. Again, if you have a smaller space, a curved sofa can be quite space inefficient, right? So having something in a square or a rectangle is going to probably be more efficient, especially in a sofa, maybe not in a side chair, but in a sofa. When you have a curved sofa, you're gonna get some inefficiency and not as much space necessarily as you would if you went for something like a 2.5 seater or a 3-seater sofa. So I think if you're trying to maximize the amount of people that you get into a smaller home, I would skip this one. But if you are looking for something really elegant and beautiful and curvy, and you maybe have enough seating to accommodate typically the amount of people that you would have in the home, then I would say go for something like the curve. Fine, but also remember, these are not really oftentimes super comfy because the curve doesn't always super line up with your back, depending on the shape of the curve necessarily in the sofa. And also they're not really great to nap on. So they're a fine choice. They're not the most practical choice, to be honest. And although you see these curved sofas everywhere, they aren't necessarily something super practical enough to think to be in somebody's home, especially a smaller home where again, you're gonna get that space inefficiency with a curved sofa. So de-influencing, you don't need this. Yes, CB2 has the Gwyneth Paltrow Goop sofa one, the Curvo, which has been around for a while and super, super popular, but I would sort of stay away from this one if it's just not necessary. It's just, now, if you do love the curve, by the way, and you're thinking, but I want it in some curved furniture pieces, having it in a side chair makes a lot more sense because it's built for one, so it sort of fits the human body a little bit better, I think, than it does in a 2.5 or a 3-seater. Just my own opinion, but that's just kind of my own experience. So if you love that, go with a side chair and a curve. I think it's a better choice. The curved sofa, especially with the curved back to it, you don't need it. That's what I'm saying. Okay, next up is going to be the accent wall. So the accent wall, here's the thing. So it's arguably a little bit dated now, but I would say this, accent walls are out, focal points are in. So like, what is the focal point of the room? Is it a fireplace? Is it gonna be the television, right? Is it the bed in the center of the bedroom? What is the focal point in the room? And use that as your focus rather than just kind of pointing randomly around the room and go like, that's my accent wall. That's a little bit dated. And I mean accent wall, I'm talking about both extremely convoluted geometric millwork or kind of some finishing carpentry that's put on there. Listen, I love some moldings. You all know I love some moldings, but some of these designs are inspired, I'll give you, but just a little heavy. And again, they're often haphazard in a space. And they're less about creating a focal point and more about sort of like just blindly, randomly, just kind of like pointing to a wall and go like, yeah, let's put some moldings on that one. You know what I mean? And that to me isn't the way forward. Also, I will include not just the moldings here, but also painting a wall, just a random color. That feels very 2005 for me. And I would personally say that just like having all white walls and then picking like a fuchsia that you're just gonna paint some random wall there, very dated and unnecessary. So often, well, the reason I put it in this video is not only because I just don't like it, but as an unnecessary item that you should consider in your home, but mostly just because I think a lot of people still have in their head that they need an accent wall. It's like, okay, paint all my walls white. Now I need something funky to show people that I have personality. What am I gonna paint my accent wall? What am I gonna do with my accent wall? You don't need an accent wall is the answer. You don't actually really need it. Consider designing the whole space. If you're gonna put wallpaper, consider the whole room wallpaper. wallpapered, the whole room painted an interesting color that's not white, rather than necessarily choosing one wall and just doing something weird. You know what I mean? This is unnecessary. You don't need to do it. If you don't want to do anything funky, don't do anything funky. Stick to like white walls and it's totally fine. Like you don't have to necessarily do something funky. There's lots of ways you can inject personality into your home through different decor pieces, things that really represent you, that are really personal, things that are an expression of you as a person, as opposed to some lime green wall that's gonna make people think that you're interesting. You know what I mean? Okay, next up, we're gonna talk about oversized lighting, another de-influencing thing that I'm gonna have to burst your bubble here. So oversized lighting is very popular and it's super cool and it can look really beautiful, especially on social media. What I mean by that is when you're really sticking beyond the parameters of what would be an appropriate size lighting fixture, whether it be kind of over top of a dining table, whether it's going to be wherever it's going to be, right? You know, this is where you're getting really into oversized territory. These giant globes over top of a coffee table, for example, or over top of a dining table. So these are beautiful in theory. They're often super expensive because oftentimes people are selecting very designer pieces. They're going to really fabulous shops and choosing these really big, gorgeous designer pieces there. And it can be very, very expensive. It is, I would say, lighting can be a place that you may want to spend some money, but you don't necessarily have to. I think there's a lot of really great lighting that is super affordable. This is one area that you don't have to break the bank on, in my opinion. And so this stuff is really expensive. It's really trendy at the moment. I think buying, you're probably gonna be better off, especially if you're not wanting to change out your lighting fixtures kind of every year or two. You might be better off choosing a more appropriately sized lighting fixture that is going to make sense for your space. So choosing a pendant that is maybe a little bit smaller in scale than some of this gigantic stuff that kind of overwhelms a space, because again, it's gonna be a lot more affordable, it's gonna be a lot more timeless, it's gonna be with you for a long time. You're probably gonna be happier with that choice in the long run. And I do think that the oversized gigantic lighting, although really cool, it's just having a little bit of a moment right now, and it's honestly not really something that you necessarily need to invest in my personal opinion. So that's it for me for today, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this video. I'm gonna link here to the last de-influencing video I did, the unnecessary home decor items that you do not need. So if you didn't check out that video, you can check it out here, and I will see you all in the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.